Hey everyone, and welcome back to Pandemonium, where today we are going to be finally diving into some of the big features that came in PUBG Mobile very recently and how they might be added into esports going into 2025. And of course, Jason's here as always on the channel with a hat this time around to hide his hair. How's it going?
PUBGmobile.live/changes in 2025. I'm doing good, man. Doing good. You know, the hair looks horrible, so I had to put a hat on.
Yeah, you had to hide it, and I have nothing to hide.
Wait, so in the first take, I roast you. In the second take, you roast yourself because I don't roast you?
Yeah, this is a second take, by the way, guys, because I messed up the first one. That was on me. But yeah, that's how we do things over here. Anyways, let's get into the topic of the video. Four features have been added to the game. Well, four. One's already been in the game for a while, but 3 new features have been added, and this is going to be the central focus of this video, which are going to be the addition of Vikendi back in esports next year, the self-AD, emergency pickup, and weirdly enough, horses might be coming to esports. That was an actual topic in the survey that was thrown to the community by the esports team, which is very weird. Jason, horses might be a thing. I don't know. After hovercraft, I don't know what to expect anymore. It's odd.
I'm more curious about what's gonna happen if the horse gets destroyed. Like, you know, like if you destroy a vehicle, it blows up. Does the horse explode? Does it die?
Then you get horse meat and you can heal up with him. And we're gonna
really do stim.
I can't wait for the horse skins. That's gonna be great revenue. But we're gonna be diving into some of the comments of the community that we had on our short over on Instagram. By the way, please go check out Pandemonium_news down below on YouTube, Instagram, and also TikTok. We're posting content over there. But the first comment came from Defi, also known as the coach of the side of Voin Donkey ID or Voin Donkey ID, which said, only competitive answer is the emergency pickup, but it will only work if the zone is like on PC, where there's 100% land ratio and guaranteed in circle 4 and 8, which I think that's a good middle ground to have, like a good addition of the item if you do have that condition of no water, because then it gets a little bit hectic to like cross bridges, etc. It can be a bit OP.
Well, I feel like it's hectic anyways, just based off of the render distance,
Yes.
being able to actually see different players. And considering he has a PC background, kind of surprised he didn't mention that at all. Because obviously, if you're a team, you use emergency pickup or vice versa, you can see each other from really far away. Whereas in PUBG Mobile, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the people who are being flown in by the helicopter and can see when or where they're going to drop, which makes things even more difficult and makes things a little bit more random, especially towards the late game. If they end up dropping like in a compound that's over 400 meters away from you, it's like we don't know if there's going to be, I mean, I guess you wouldn't know if there's a team there anyways, but I guess you would expect to not have a team there because there's no vehicles there, most likely. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how to play out. I want to see it actually being used in some tournaments and see how the players work around it. I don't like the players being able to just veto it and say, no, we're not going to play with it. I want to see Tencent be like, no, you guys going to be forced to play. You're going to try it out for us, and then we'll see how it works.
Yeah, like, we got to have a meta change eventually, right? Because otherwise the game gets very stale.
Hovercraft.
Yeah. Hovercraft in Cilio would be like, we like updates. Please update.
Wait a minute. How can Team Spirit utilize a car rotate with a horse as well?
I will have to find a name for that rotate. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe I jumped the gun on that one.
Oh, yeah, you get it.
That was
my God, he's playing 2030 right now, Jason. Calm down. Actually, counterpoint to your point about render distance. Actually, I believe helicopters are the same as the plane. When you use the emergency pickup, you can see them at any distance. So like you'll see it coming. It's just the players that are attached to the plane or the helicopter. You can't really see them from too far away, but you see there's an emergency pickup coming in to some extent.
No, that I have no problem with. It's the players. You don't know if they're attached or not attached anymore. That's the part that's like really hard and makes the information game late game so kind of random.
It's gonna be cool to see people bait other teams like by faking out the emergency pickup. That could be like it could add a layer of depth to those kind of rotates. But the next comment here coming in from Rayan K, Rayan _K, and it's got underscore on a dot. Like, you guys have weird names, by the way. Just saying.
Did you respond to this comment? That's not you, is it?
I did respond to the comment. It was me.
I thought you were Maxman30.
Yeah, I'm Maxmancast on Instagram, but
okay.
So it's just it was taken. But he says no self-AD, it will ruin the competitive experience. And then I had a follow-up question for him, and even just a statement saying, yeah, I don't know how to feel about the self-AD. Maybe if it's only in crates, and even then it's just too good an item. And I wanted to know initially what are your thoughts on the self-AD, Jason, because it is pretty cracked.
So we had, I don't know if you remember, we had a discussion about this with like all the talent and some Tencent people like discussing our thoughts on the AD. Right, and you do have an indicator in game when a player is knocked who has an AD, if I'm not mistaken, which means you will know if that player can get back up. I don't know. I kind of find it interesting. I feel like if you limit the amount of like times you can pick it up, like obviously like via crates, like you're saying, it can make fights like in Sandhawk really interesting, or just fights in general where you're going to have to confirm that elimination really early in the fight instead of just letting that player bleed out and kind of use that to bait enemy players in. I think it's more of, as we discussed, if you're in 2 separate compounds, you get a long range knock and you want to full send it. Well, I mean, actually, no, now that I think about it, it's kind of interesting because then that player can be like, okay, I can wait to get rezzed, but they're going to crash us, so I have to use my AAD.
Yeah.
Or I don't use it, or maybe it fends the other team off. I don't know. I feel like again, this is one of those things like you kind of want to try it as long as there's proper indicators there that they have an AED and they can use it. Maybe an indicator that the player rezzed as well with the AED would be one way to work around it.
Oh, that would be nice, actually. Yeah, because it shows, as you said earlier, it shows an icon when they have the self AD when they get knocked. If it shows they got rezzed, but they don't have any more, then after that, then if you get follow-up knock, then maybe you could send it. That could be interesting. The reason why I said in my comment also I'd like to have in crates because I still think it's a very strong item.
Oh, yeah.
And crates, I think, very often are, at least in competitive, right, Jason, they're overlooked. But sometimes nobody goes for a crate and it just stays unlooted the entire time. I think a self AD that has not even a 100% chance of spawning, but like a maybe 50%, 25% chance of spawning in a crate will incentivize more people to go for that. Maybe you'll see crate fights for that item that being really good. And that could be a good change of dynamic in the game. But I think if there was one thing I would have to not pick, it would be the self AD. But it does add something different that we didn't have in the game at first.
I would probably pick no horses if I had to choose one of the 4, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
if that's what you meant.
No, if I had to say I'd no to one, I would say no to self AD.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Ah, really? Okay. Yeah. Like, but, why though?
I think it changes the core aspect of the game too much, which is a team game, and I've been a critique of 3-1 splits for the longest time, Jason. I think you heard me say many times, I love 2-2 splits. It's the way to go. 3-1 splits when there's a player too far away. I think that you're just not playing the team game how it's supposed to be played properly. Doc, especially in PMGC League. But I think now you're going to see some people just go out like super far away from their team in a really solid spot and have the self AD and just heal up in a spot. I think that it takes away a kind of a core aspect of the game in my eyes.
So you're saying the way Team Spirit plays with like no me playing it off angle isn't the way PUBG Mobile should be played? No.
So he's not playing like super far away of the team. Like he's not like in an unreachable spot. Is what I'm getting to. I think you're going to see some people abuse it. So you're just saying like if someone's
far away and they have an AED and they get knocked, they can just res themselves up and they don't have to go pick up that player.
Yeah, I think you're going to have some people like, oh, I'm just going to send in the center while my team is playing edge. I'm going to go for this Harry Potter tower. I got self AD. If I get knocked from a really long distance, I can self AD and even maybe first aid up and be fine.
Yeah, but I don't know. I could see against that as well. Of like, if you're gonna play that 3-1 split, it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable to be able to play the 3-1 split. And if you get knocked, like you're gonna have to use the self AD, and then there goes that big item that you could have used maybe later on in some team fights. Like, if you're forced to use it early because you're going for splits like that, then you're not gonna have it later when there might be a big fight that happens, and you could use it to actually save your team.
Yeah, I get your point too. I think there's points for and against it. I'm a bit more against it because again, I want to incentivize team play more than solo plays, and I think that this is gonna incentivize solo play for some people, but. It's interesting. Again, tell us in the comments what you think about the safe AD. I think this is the most controversial item that might be added in esports. So, points for and against it. Next points from mdjoy.pubg saying we need the Vikendi map back again. And I don't know your thoughts about Vikendi here, Jason.
Yes.
I would love... Yeah, you want it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want Vikendi back, but they need to change car spawns and circle settings because, I mean, we covered a lot of Vikendi, right, Jason? And I think that we had too many circles going to the coast, and I would like that to be changed a little bit.
We need more maps in rotation. I feel like I feel like you could even go kind of like a Counter-Strike route, or like maybe take Sandhawk out for this next year, or like for half of the year and put Vikendi in, right? Like kind of mix things up and do like a season of play with some different maps, because obviously we have Rondo coming through as well. So then maybe the first half of the year you put Vikendi in, the second half of the year you maybe put Rondo in, and it gives the dev team time to maybe rethink Sandhawk, maybe adjust some things on the map. And keep it fresh, because I'm not gonna lie, I do get a little bit bored. It's like, what's the point of having Sandhawk for one map?
Yeah,
every day. If you're gonna put a map in and people hate it, like you gotta put it in like almost like twice. Like you almost have to do like 2-2-2, like two Sandhawk, 2 Erangel, 2 Miramars. Because otherwise, it's like, what's the point of having it for just one map? You know what I mean?
I do have to say, I've definitely felt the Erangel, Miramar, Sandhawk fatigue over the past 2 years now, it feels like. Sure, we've had minor changes to Erangel and stuff. Like Erangel's got now Milta update, Stolba update, and even Ruins update. Miramar, you had Yeah, Truck Stop, and also the Compound South. I forgot the name. It slipped my mind completely, but there are some minor changes.
Oh, Partona.
Partona. There you go. Thank you very much. But I was thinking, a new map would be cool. Though I think we can agree we both play. I mean, we mentioned PUBG PC already, so we'll just continue in that line of thought. We already talked about map updates going in 2.0. I think Vikendi 2.0. And then bringing that into esport, I would absolutely love that. And I think that would be the time I'm like, yeah, I have no issue with it coming.
Imagine PMGC 2025, RCB up against D+ yet again here in the very last match of the game. And Silas goes down to a bear on Vikendi in the last match.
And Sora, the subbed in again, is like talking English. What are you guys doing? It's like, we don't get you. What are you saying?
What are you saying? We don't understand English.
We don't understand you.
Wait, but you just spoke English. But that's all we know.
I had a button and he pressed it just like just like the crypto button. And
but no, for sure, you put Vikendi back in. Like I actually would love to see like a major overhaul on just like the amount of what battlegrounds we play next year. Like, bring Erangel down. I want to see teams like, for instance, like in Cilio, I feel like they play so high at PMGC because we had 3 Erangels a day. You take away one Erangel and you put it towards like a second Sandhawk or a second Miramar, and their ranking's going to go down. And to me, I don't want to see a team win just because they're really good on one map. I want to see a team win because they're really good on all the maps. Like, they're all around a good team.
Even D+, I mean, sure, D+ were able to do really good on Erangel by the end, but the reason why they won PMGC is because they put on a clinic on Miramar. Every Miramar they put points, right? I think that
imagine it was one Miramar maps, instead of 2.
Yeah, if you add more maps, if you add like potentially 4 maps per day in a rotation, you'll have, I think, a higher caliber of top tier teams because they're able to perform well on 4 maps instead of like maybe 2. Because right now, if you didn't do good on Sandhawk, well, it doesn't really matter that much.
That would be interesting to see if we looked at the standings with all Sandhawks taken out. And what would the standings look like? How different would they look? And that, I think, would be a good indicator of like how unnecessary maybe Sandhawk is in the pool. Or sorry, not Sandhawk. One map or a map being played only once a day is maybe in a format.
Yeah, actually, I think it goes even further than what we want. I think it would be kind of necessary to make the playfield even more interesting for next year. But yeah, man, we're talking so much about Vikendi. We're going to move on to the next topic here. Next comment from Talisman Kakarot. Saying, emergency pickup is a great idea. Like in PL, there are 4-man pushes that would be fun. The horse, though, it's fine with or without it. But AD and Vikendi, no. Actually, interesting opinion here, saying no to Vikendi. But AD, again, I can get. But emergency pickup is a great idea because they do have MPL, and that is exactly what happens, Jason. I don't know how much you've seen that over MPL, but it's just you crash with the emergency pickup, and it just changes the whole dynamic of like third parties and stuff. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, I unfortunately don't watch much PEL because I want to have like an English coverage of it, like more proper English coverage of it to make it easier to watch. Because when you're looking at teams and all the players and Chinese characters, you just don't know who's who. But yeah, I mean, the fact is, like, PEL, they've also used the explosive crossbow or whatever you want to call that item, right? I think maybe there's some good things that we've seen out of PEL. Explosive crossbow, I don't know. Obviously, that wasn't one of the options that we're talking about here, but it kind of gives an idea of just because maybe they're playing PEL doesn't necessarily mean it should be played on a global scale. The horse, I kind of understand. Like, is there any extra advantage to a horse over a bike?
You just don't have coverage, right? You're literally easy to take down.
No, you're like, shh, lay down, horse, lay down. Okay, and then you hide behind the horse.
There's actually some interesting points about the horse I do want to bring up that might be an issue competitively speaking. So, in esports, right, you take a car or a bike or whatever you have, and you want to hide in a building to hide the information, the fact that you're there, right? The thing is, the horse does not stay still. He moves around. And if you try and hide it and he just moves and he's like, wait, that's a horse. Wait, there's a team there. It kind of takes the information that you were trying to deny when it just gives it to the enemy. It's something that small aspect is a bit annoying to control, let's say.
Let me ask, how many people can get on the horse at once? Is it
2?
Just 1? 2? Okay. Realistically, how often, I mean, I guess the buggy is the counter to my question, is like, how often do you see people use like the 2-man bikes or whatever? Or I mean, you don't really see it often. You see them like use it to get to a proper vehicle, and that's it. So I don't know. I don't really expect to see people using horses like as their mode of transportation versus a buggy or versus any other vehicle out there.
I think that when you're gonna have the horse and the motorbikes, it's just gonna be like when you download, when you get a new PC and you download Chrome, it's just you using Microsoft Edge initially, and just to get to the better car, and that's gonna be Chrome.
What's with that drive-by? Actually, to be fair, I have heard Edge has gotten a lot better these days.
Really? Hey, thumbs up to you, Edge. If you use Edge, tell us in the comments. Anyway. Next comment coming out from Pharaoh.pg that says none of them. Man does not want to change the meta. People won't need to do rotations anymore. Just a full team gets shotgun and use emergency pickup to go center zone compound. I think we need change.
Compound, by the way. Compound.
Oh yeah, compound. Sorry,
Compound.
I had to read it properly. Sorry, Pharaoh.pg for destroying your comment. But I think that there's actually quite a lot of comments, Jason, of people saying, and even not just comments on our video, but even in the community as a whole, and even pro players are like, no, we don't want anything added to the game. We want the meta to remain stale like it is right now, which I think that your esports is going to get boring very quickly.
I love that. No, we want the meta to stay stale. No, I think that's the problem. Like, I can understand maybe looking at shotguns again, though we did see that 12K used a ton more, I'd say, in PUBG this year than we've ever seen compared to like the DBS. I think people are kind of looking at the current meta and like, what can we change about the current meta is like changing around shotguns. They're not as powerful anymore. Maybe looking at like the MP7s as being like the counter to them or something like that. But man, you need a mix up, because I'm not gonna lie, it does get kind of boring seeing the same game played every year. You look at, you know, some other battle royales and they constantly have different events, constantly have different items coming into the game. You need a mix up, and honestly, the players, they're just lazy. They don't want to have to learn a new meta. They don't want to have to learn new items. They don't want to have to adapt. They just want to keep playing the same game they're playing, so they don't have to put in even more work to become the best. And I don't think that's fair to the viewers. I think they need something more exciting than that. Yeah. I mean, look at the hovercrafts. They're not that big of a change. It's like, okay, I just go pick up a hovercraft, but we saw the impact of the hovercraft period. Same with the DBS. No one was really using the DPS. I think it was D+ using a couple years ago, and now everyone's using the DBS. You got to force some changes on the players, because they're just going to be too lazy to want to have to work to get good with those items.
Now, I'm glad you bring up the hovercraft. That was going to be my point, but you already highlighted it. I think it made PMGC a lot more interesting, because like all this new item has been added, one new vehicle has been added, and it's just used in such a weird way when it comes to traditional PUBG Mobile Esports, and it just makes things so much more interesting. So yeah, I would say we should be advocating for change as much as possible. Like some change, like again, self-ADM personally against it. I think there's like a limit that should be there, but we should not be against everything. We should definitely be more open-minded to adding new stuff to the game. Next comment's going to be from Adnan_ACO, which says, who says, Vikendi is cool.
No, see cool.
Vikendi, see cool. Should I also read it with like the typos?
Yeah,
and stuff?
No, you should read it exactly as they wrote it.
Vikendi, see cool. AED, horses, emergency pickup. No, from my side.
Wait,
I don't know why I had an accent at the end.
There was no typo.
I don't know where Adnan's even from, though. I don't know why I did a weird accent. But no, pretty much saying yes to Vikendi. Again, I think the Vikendi should need some minor changes to make it competitively viable. But AED, horses, emergency pickup, no from their side. I think that the items, people are way more against the item changes than like the maps. I think maps, people are like, yeah, sure, we can learn how to rotate and stuff, but the items itself, I think that's a thing that a lot of people have issues with so far.
I think I need to go check out all the other comments some of these people have made on Pandemonium_news and see if any of them said Jonathan's the best player in the world, because I'm immediately going to count out any opinion they have about these new items.
You want to like do a background check?
Yeah,
background your opinion
check on
valid?
Their comments. Yeah, exactly. I mean, okay, agrees on Vikendi, that I'm happy with, but in my opinion, like when you have a lot of these third-party tournaments like the Titan series and stuff like that, I would love to see teams using them just to kind of get an idea of how good they're going to be. I think the problem is that because you have so little time in PMSLs, and you have so little time at like PMGOs and stuff, and if you're one of like the teams at the top echelon of the competitive scene, you don't want to see new item introduced that can completely shake up the meta that you're not prepared for, because then you could like potentially, you know, not requalify for PMSL or not qualify for a global event, and then you miss out on so much in the year. I think that's kind of the problem right now with the current competitive format in general with PUBG Mobile, is that you want to implement these changes, but when do you implement them?
I would say between seasons, but then you have PMWC in the middle of the year, so like it's hard to find that sweet spot, right? Or when you want to add something, because patches are rolling out every few months, right? I
think you have to basically say for Tencent, like, okay, we are implementing AEDs and emergency pickups, and then teams like, okay, well, we have to go learn it before PMSL, before PMGO, before all these events.
We need to scrim it, yeah.
Like you need to give proper time, and that's maybe the one ground we can agree on, that if items and new things are implemented, that teams have the time to prepare and practice. You can't implement something a couple weeks before an event.
I think everyone would have to agree with that opinion. I think that like you need to give people time to learn to use it if they want to be used properly. Like even going back to the hovercraft, I think that people did not have time to adapt, and Insidio just understood how strong it was on their own, like doing their own research, and then just brought it to PMGC and like they just popped off. So I think if they had that time, maybe more people would understand, oh, it's so valuable, and then focus on it a lot more going in the actual event itself.
Well, see, that I don't even, I mean, I agree completely with you. I think I don't agree with hovercraft, with that patch being used at PMGC.
The way it was inserted.
Because I don't think Tencent realized how strong the hovercraft was until it got abused by Incilio. I think that's a big problem right there, is you can't implement something so meta-changing right before a big event. Because no teams had time to prepare for that, except Incilio, who probably was doing scrims on live and was actively using them. So, I mean, I didn't even think about that, actually. That's a really good point, is that's maybe one of the criticisms I have at PMGC, is like you can't put a new patch like that. That's so instrumental. I mean, they didn't use it in League stage, right? It was only in Grand Finals.
We had it in League, I believe.
Did we have it in League?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we did. It's just we didn't see as much because Insidio was not playing the entire league, right? So it was just...
Well, imagine you're playing the first group yellow, and you know, if you're playing the last group green, you have the time to see, oh, these other groups are using hovercrafts. Maybe we should start to use them because we're seeing how good they can be. But if you're the first group up, you're not gonna have the time to adapt. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
John, I called this video just like we're talking about Incilio. It's been the main
no, I mean, I'm not
real.
knocking them. Like, credit to them to see an item or a new addition to the game that was so strong and instrumental and running with it. There's no hate towards them for doing that.
No, I'd even say respect personally. I think they're like they used it and made a name for themselves as like the hovercraft team. And people even stealing the hovercraft away from them because it was so good. So like, props to them. Next comment coming out from Arslan_VHR saying the M79 will be the game changer. It will totally change the way teams use smokes, crash compounds, and do rushes. Self AD will be interesting as well, especially during clutch moments. So M79 was not really the main topic of the video. It was quickly mentioned in the short I made, and some people like kind of latched onto it. M79, just like as a quick point here, Jason, if you have thoughts also on it, I think is going to be the most meta impactful weapon, because compared to the emergency pickup, for example, that's going to be a very rare item. M79, from the games I've played in Ultimate Royale at least, you can find it almost everywhere, and it spawns pretty heavily. So yeah, I think that crashes in particular, the M79 is going to be all over the place. It's going to be way too good.
So I have one question. Does the smoke immediately bloom?
Yes.
When it lands? Okay.
It's a bit smaller and it doesn't last as long, but it blooms instantly.
Does it stick to things? So if you were to shoot it at a wall, it'll stick to the wall.
Yes. So like if you shoot it at a wall in an apartment building next to the window, it will bloom and cover the entire window.
Super good. Yeah. Super good. Insanely good, because you can really pinpoint where those smokes go, and you can really deny vision where you want to deny vision. I'm interested to see if teams will kind of abuse it somewhat. In some other games where there's smokes, if you can put the smoke in a high enough position, you can still see their legs. Or teams can use that to their advantage. They can prone under it, and when you're not expecting a player to be there. I think there's a lot of like micro things that can be done with the M79 that are going to be really insane to see. Yeah,
I think we're going to have to do going into next year whenever it's added into esports, because there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be added into esports. It's going to be there eventually. But we'll have to do a video once it comes out and see how impactful it actually is compared to our initial expectations. And then Arslan talks about the self AD being interesting as well. Yeah, which is fair. I think that we should give it definitely a try, maybe in smaller tournaments, see like the reception and moving forward if we add it or not. Next comment.
Just imagine RCB, they had an AED on the final map.
Wild and Loxy is like, yeah, we win PMGC with it.
Yeah,
easy.
you could have.
You could have. Arlot says the rest of the three things are fine, but the self AD, so everything except the self AD, he's okay with, apparently.
See, what I don't like with these comments, though, not to like shame you guys from posting comments, because I love when you guys do, but you're not giving us a reason why. You're saying you don't like this. No one said they don't like the. Everyone that said who doesn't like the self AED has yet to say why they don't like it, other than I don't like it.
I feel like we need to get a interview or podcast with a
pro
player.
Well, luckily for us, we do have Arlot33V here actually joining us.
Let's
go. But yeah, no one's giving reasons why. And to me, that kind of says that they're just like, I just don't like it. I just don't like new things.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed when I play a game and I see someone using the self AD. When I knock them, I'm like, oh god, that pisses me off a little bit. But I don't know. I need to be a bit more open-minded. Yeah, cool. Fair. Thanks, Jason.
I think the worst is we've played together before, and what the worst part is not realizing you have it as well.
Yeah.
And just sitting there knock like, oh, I'm knocked, and then like 20 20 seconds go by, and you're like, oh wait, I can pick myself up. and then,
I
and then you just
forgot
like bait
that
your
a few
teammate
times.
to a bad position.
Yeah.
You know, it would have saved me from Natura's wrath.
No, it wouldn't.
No, Tara, I'm okay. I can res myself. I'm okay. No, go away. I'm all right.
Off the cliff.
Yeah.
Final comment there coming out from TNW_Peterick, saying they should definitely increase the quantity of vehicle spawns in Vikendi and make it competitive. Which for Vikendi, I think that is a very good piece of feedback. One, like, I had two main criticisms with it. It's circle shifts, how they work, and car spawns, which we saw so many times when Vikendi was in the rotation pool of maps, Jason, that people would have 4 players in one car because that's all they found. I think if cars alone are fixed, instantly Vikendi becomes way more competitive because as of right now, if you want to rotate, you kind of need to be lucky. And you already got some RNG in the game with circles and stuff. If you had an extra layer of RNG, it's making it really hard to then be consistent on the map like Vikendi.
Just imagine the gondolas, Max. The gondola rotation. The gondatation.
The
gondolatation. Could
No.
be sick. I mean, yeah, no, Vikendi, like, I feel like everyone agrees. And I feel like the amount of people we've seen say yes to Vikendi just kind of shows that they're kind of worn out from seeing, you know, the same 3 battlegrounds every single time. But we could be going into 2025 with 2 new ones into the pool, so that could be cool.
Actually, these are going to be all the comments. We covered all the comments. I know this is a 26-minute video. Sorry, guys. If you watch until this, hey, props, guys. Thank you very much for watching. But a final little point here, Jason, before we do wrap up the video. If you, right now, with all the maps that we currently have in the game, plus Rondo that is going to be coming out in March next year, on a 6 map per day rotation, what would be your ideal map rotation you would like to see in competitive? You don't have to give an order or anything, just like how many.
Wait, I don't understand the question.
Like, for example, I'm going to give you my answer then, and then you can give your answer. With all the maps currently available in the game, so you have Erangel, you have Miramar, you have Vikendi, you have Sanhok, and you have Rondo. Like, competitively viable maps, that is.
Oh, I thought we were going into, like, Livik.
Oh, no. We're not going
Yeah,
that far.
that's why I was like,
No.
I don't understand what you're saying. Okay,
No, so, like,
continue.
what would be your 6 map rotation per day in, like, the PMWC, PMGC, whatever? For me, I would go, in no particular order, I would go 2 Miramars, 2 Erangels, 1 Rondo initially, and 1 Vikendi. That would be what I would go for personally. But what about you?
I love having back-to-back the same battleground. So when we went from like doing, you know, Erangel, Miramar, Sanhok, Erangel, Miramar, Sanhok, or whatever, or Erangel, Miramar, Erangel, whatever that was, I hated that. I love the change that we did. I think you do 2-2-2 every day.
2-2-2? Oh.
I think you do 2-2-2. I don't think you ever put a battleground in only once, because you need to have, for storyline purposes, to just kind of see how teams adapt between, you know, the first map of that battleground versus the second map of that battleground. If anything, you would want to do like 2 Rondo, you know, I mean, again, order doesn't matter, but like 2 Rondo, 2 Miramar, 2 Erangel, and then the next day you can also do like 2 Vikendi, 2 Miramar, 2 Erangel. I feel like you should rotate every day.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
every battleground is played the same amount, but there's a slight change up each day. But I would not put Sanhok in that rotation anymore. I would take Sanhok out for at least half the year right now. I think everyone's burned out with Sanhok.
It's kind of weird. I don't want to like your answer, but I really like your answer. And I actually kind of like the idea that every day, for example, let's say in the grand finals, you have different maps on a specific day. It would be really rough for the coaches and analysts to like do the research and get ready. But I think entertainment value-wise, that would improve significantly because you got every day something different to look forward to. I kind of dig it. But yeah, tell us, guys, in the comments, what would be your ideal map rotation for 2025 with like all the maps we mentioned here if it was in competitive pool? But with that said,
the only thing I'll say, Erangel, I feel like you have to finish on Erangel. Like for the event. Like final match of every big event should be Erangel. The final 2 games should be Erangel. It should be like the classic map because that's what everyone started playing PUBG Mobile on, and that's how you should finish off a tournament.
But you'll never get an Eastern Island Miramar finish like we had in PMGC.
Well, we're never going to have a final better than that. That's
No.
the problem. Is we're never going to beat that. Unless it's like Rondo and you're in the building, like the tower, and one team's at the bottom of the tower, one team's at the top in Jade City. Okay, then maybe we got something cooking there.
Yeah, it's not happening. But you know what's happening? The outro. With that said, thanks so much for watching, guys, this Pandemonium video. Of course, as always, please do go check out Pandemonium_news over on here, YouTube. Subscribe if you haven't already. Instagram and TikTok. We're going to keep posting content next year normally also. We'll see how that's going to be going. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Jason, thanks for being here. Cool hat, and see you next time. Ooh, bye.
Ratto boy.
Ratto.
Ratto boy.
Is this in a video? I guess it is. Bye, guys.
I don't know.